These are 10 times NFL players saved lives. And at number 10, Christian McCaffrey saved someone who almost fell to their death. Here in Colorado, at a dangerous spot known as Castle Rock, McCaffrey was hiking there, and so was a man named Dan with his grandson, who took a selfie after reaching the top. But right as they started climbing down,
thought I heard like the sound of a shoe slipping and then somebody saying, "Oh," it sounded like my grandpa, so I turned around and I saw him hit the ground.
the man slipped and fell all the way down the trail, which miraculously happened right in front of McCaffrey.
Come on, Dan.
Is he still awake?
He's breathing, he's struggling.
Paramedics rushed to the scene and took the man to the hospital. Here's where doctors found that he not only broke 12 bones like his neck, ribs, pelvis, and femur, Dan was actually suffering from a brain bleed that could have killed him at any moment. And after multiple surgeries, plus weeks in the hospital, finally Dan recovered, so McCaffrey didn't just send him tickets to a game with custom-signed jerseys. He visited the family, who were grateful that his quick actions actually saved their loved one's life.
I also spoke with Eli's dad, and he says he is so thankful for those athletes who truly saved his dad's life. And of course, the McCaffreys and Michael are continuing to send their prayers.
Now, alright, I could definitely see McCaffrey saving an old man. I mean, he's always helping people. But that's only one of the 10 times NFL players saved people's lives, from an almost deadly plane ride to a train accident, and even a player risking drowning to save his own family. But before we get to those, at number 9, one of Tom Brady's ex-teammates risked his own life to save people from a deadly crash. What this player did was so brave that police gave him an award usually reserved for the most heroic veterans, because Blaine Gabbert and his brothers were riding jet skis around in Tampa Bay when out of nowhere, they noticed a helicopter literally falling out of the sky. Blaine's crew quickly sped over to help. Then they managed to get the family out and put them on his jet skis just seconds before the entire helicopter sank.
We're seeing like 2 yellow life jackets, so I was like, all right, we gotta go check this out. The youngest kid had just came up and said he was pinned in there, and I asked if anybody else was trapped. And then I called 911. The pilot was still in the water, and that was when you guys pulled up, and I dragged him a little bit towards the boat, and luckily enough, the fire department was there, everybody was there, and it wasn't me, it was credit goes to these guys, because if they weren't there in the nick of time, it could have turned bad.
All the work that you did out there, there's no reason why we don't make you an honorary member of our Marine Patrol.
But as much as he tried giving everyone else the credit, his efforts are why the family miraculously made it to safety without any injuries.
We were trapped under so much stuff. I had so many cables and wires and headsets and seatbelts all around me. I really thought I was going to die in that helicopter.
Now, that man is definitely lucky he's here to tell the story, and honestly, it's all thanks to Blaine. But at number 8, Tyreek Hill's group chat helped him save his fans' life. After Tyreek met some Chiefs superfans after a game, he quickly became friends with them, and they even invited Tyreek to their group chat. They always sent Tyreek congratulation texts after his games, especially the biggest Chiefs fan in the group, Louis Brewer. So after a game where Tyreek went off and honestly had one of the best performances of his entire career, the chat was buzzing with messages from everybody, except Louis. Now, this was unusual, so Tyreek definitely felt something had to be wrong and told the boys to go check on him. But that's when they eventually went, and they found Louis laying unresponsive on his bathroom floor. It turned out that he suffered a stroke days prior and was laying there clinging to life ever since. Louis was instantly taken to the hospital where doctors were trying everything they could. Then after some time, thankfully they were able to get him breathing correctly again and gave him the care he needed to recover, so Tyreek had to show up for his boy.
What's up, man? Trying to get some depth? My man.
Man, all cause Tyreek noticed and said something, Louis survived. But at number 7, Mark Andrews dealing with his own deadly disease helped him save someone else's life. Because as a kid, Mark was already diagnosed with something that could kill him.
I was diagnosed, I was 9 years old. At the time I was, very active. I was playing soccer. And I remember when the doctor came in and told my parents and myself that I had type 1 diabetes. This was the first time that I saw my dad cry.
His dad was crying because it's a deadly disease that affects over 9 million people worldwide. So even though Mark has battled this his entire life, he never expected going through that would eventually help him save someone else's. Up here, 40,000 feet in the air, a plane was flying with Mark on it until a passenger randomly started having an extreme medical emergency. People instantly rushed to figure out what she was dealing with.
I heard how low her heart rate was. I mean, we were talking 35, 40 beats a minute. Her pulse was extremely weak. At one point, she needed auxiliary oxygen.
And now knowing that, even the doctors on board couldn't figure out what caused this or how to help until Mark recognized her symptoms.
Well, first of all, I didn't even know it was Mark. I had no idea who was sitting next to me. And he basically says, do you know, could her blood sugar be low? I have a diabetic test kit.
Mark's test kit ended up revealing the woman's blood sugar was dangerously low, which meant she needed sugar in her system immediately. So once they gave her some orange juice, she somehow started feeling better and stayed in a stable enough condition until they landed. But even though Mark praised the doctors on board and called them heroes for helping, people on the flight knew that Mark was the one who really saved her life.
If you've been a Ravens fan for the past 5 years, you know exactly who Mark Andrews is. So you could almost see what was going to happen in that moment, that an unsung hero was going to step up.
Wow, man, honestly, Mark's a hero for that. But at number 6, rushing over 100 miles an hour was something weighing over 30,000 pounds. Former NFL player Brandon Bear was just driving to work when right in front of him, a massive train smashed into a vehicle that was stuck on the tracks. This not only had him drive on the median to chase down the train as it dragged the truck hundreds of feet, he eventually sprinted after the madness to help whoever was inside.
I just ducked under the heat and ran up to the window.
Brandon found a man trapped and screaming for help. Then he managed to pull him out of the window right before the entire thing burst into flames. He even also took this pic of the explosion, which also shows this man's legs that I have to blur since it's a bit too graphic for YouTube. But even though the man was airlifted to a hospital where he luckily only had to deal with a broken leg and a concussion, according to Brandon, the man even surviving was a miracle.
I'll tell you one thing, I know the Lord wanted that guy alive because there is no reason he should have been alive after all things happened there, and I feel truly blessed to have been guided to get there and help him out.
No, that situation was crazy. But at number 5, NFL players don't only save human lives. Another NFL player saved a bunch of pets. Khalil Shakir didn't want anything bad happening to those innocent animals, especially since he knows dogs like his can become some of the most valuable parts of a family. That's why he was absolutely devastated hearing that a dog shelter in his area actually ran out of room for 19 dogs, and if they couldn't find a home within a few hours, they'd be put down, or in other words, killed. This is why Khalil took it upon himself to rescue every single one of them. Then he hosted an adoption event, which helped all 19 of those dogs find a brand new home. So I'm not even surprised that a bunch of fans thanked him for literally saving the dogs' lives. But dogs are one thing. At number 4, at an NFL game, I never thought a player would have to save a little kid from dying. After a Chiefs game, kids were just rushing up to see their favorite players walk back into the locker room. When all of a sudden, the kid fell head first, and many thought that his neck could be broken, or even worse. Nobody knew if he was even alive anymore, until Tershawn Wharton lifted him back into the stands.
Well, I said it was natural reaction, and when I heard my name, I seen him coming down, but I just had to kind of like push him into the stands a little bit to make sure he didn't hit too hard.
Kids, you gotta be careful, because at least that time he was lucky to get his life saved. But at number 3, Peyton Hillis saving his own family almost cost him his life. It was January 4th, 2023 in Pensacola, Florida. At first, it was just like any other day where families like Peyton's were all having fun at the beach. But just when everything seemed to be going right, something went horribly wrong.
I hear my mom screaming, and so I looked at her and she pointed out to my son, and he said, Ori and Camille are drowning. And so I didn't even think, I just reacted and started running to the water.
It turned out that a rip current, which is a powerful group of waves near shore that suck water deeper into the ocean and are extremely dangerous, came rushing in, so Peyton's son and niece started drowning.
I think the scariest point to me was when I'm swimming to my son and I have to pass by him because my niece is in more danger. You're seeing his eyes roll back in the back of his head and you're just thinking, Lord, please. I really don't care about my life, but if we can get him out of here, then that's the only thing I'm gonna care about.
Now, even though Peyton thankfully got his niece and son back to shore, things quickly got much worse.
And I just passed out.
911 was called and paramedics rushed to the scene. They started working on him, but that That's when they found out that Peyton was now the one suffering from something deadly. Flight for life was critical as he got flown to a hospital, and because both his lungs and kidneys were now failing, he was put on a ventilator where he went completely unconscious. Not 1, not 2, but 10 days went by where he was being worked on by doctors, until miraculously, Peyton not only woke up, he survived after saving his family's lives.
100% a miracle that somebody didn't die. And, it's just amazing we weren't burying somebody.
Wow, man. He definitely earned my respect with that. But alright, before we get to the number 1 craziest time that an NFL player saved someone's life, let's lighten the mood a little bit with number 2, because once he got a crazy touchdown in a game, all his training paid off, because he almost died and had to save his own life. After that, he reposted the clip with a COD edit saying, "I was really down, I had to self-revive." Saving his own life on national TV just to disrespect his opponents was crazy. But alright, back to the seriousness. And number 1, the only reason that Dak Prescott saved someone's life is because the closest person to him died. Dak never expected anything bad to happen to his mom, Peggy. After all, she was healthy when she had Dak, they quickly became best friends, and the bond they had seemed completely unbreakable until they were both told some devastating news. Peggy was unfortunately diagnosed with cancer, but as she got sicker and sicker, Dak was always around supporting her. Things went on for a while until sadly, less than a year later, she died. Dak was obviously devastated, but dealing with a cancerous tragedy for so long and so badly was something he wanted to save others from ever going through. That's why he started the Faith Fight Finish Foundation, where one of their many goals was to give people free cancer screenings.
There should be no excuse for not getting screened for this deadly disease. Your health is too important to throw away. Your health matters.
But even with Dak encouraging people to see if they were healthy or at least catch cancer early, he never thought offering to get people scanned in his own Cowboys organization would reveal something scary. An employee, Tad Carper, took the test, and once he got his results back, out of nowhere, it said he had stage 2 tonsil cancer. And even though that's some of the worst news that anyone can hear, Dak including him in the testing is what caught the cancer early enough for doctors to get right to work and completely remove the tumor. So, if it wasn't for Dak, he would not be here to tell the story, and that's why all Tad could say was,
thank you, because you're going to end up saving my life.